You get stronger, which feels great. That occurs within your weight workouts, but it also carries over to your endurance training sessions. I also noticed that when we're returning to higher repetitions for resistance training, so after 12 weeks, shifting away from 3 to 5 repetition ranges and going back to training in the 6 to 10 repetition ranges mainly, occasionally up to 12 or 15, but really mainly restricting to 6 to 10 repetitions, that you can move much heavier weights in good form and thereby induce more hypertrophy while still also continuing to gain some strength. And another benefit was, again, reduced soreness compared to when training with higher repetition ranges, and more mental freshness is, I guess, the only way to describe it when training in those lower repetition ranges. I don't know about you, but when I finish a really hard hour-long resistance training session done in the 6 to 12 repetition range, there's a certain type of mental fatigue that even if I eat properly afterwards, even if I hydrate properly, that it tends to sap a bit of my mental energy later in the day. But that the training at the 3 to 5 repetition range did just the opposite. It actually enhanced my focus and my cognition, my overall levels of physical energy, which is great because it allows you to do all the other things that we're required to do throughout the day. And by the way, it'll also allow you to get more of that zone 2 cardio. So if you want more details on the 3x5 protocol, again, that's timestamped in the relevant episode on strength and hypertrophy that we did with Dr. Andy Galpin. I'll also provide a link to that specific timestamp in the show note caption to this episode. I do want to point out that you don't just jump right into heavy sets of 3 to 5 repetitions. You need to warm up adequately. For some people, that warm up will be higher repetition sets. So say 10 to 12 repetitions with just the empty bar or a light weight, and then adding a little bit of weight and doing 8 repetitions and maybe 6 repetitions. And then your work sets, as they're called, of 3 to 5 repetitions. Or perhaps you're like me and you prefer to do low repetition warm-ups. So this was also something that I discussed with Dr. Andy Galpin, and that for me has made a tremendous positive impact on all my resistance training, regardless of whether or not it is low repetition or higher repetition. And that's to do a brief warm-up set that is somewhere in the range of 6 to 8 repetitions, very light, just to get familiar with the movement. Then to do a second warm-up set that includes some load on the bar or the free weight or the machine. And then a second warm-up set, again, this could be free weights or machines, that incorporates a bit more load, but still keeps the repetitions low. So in the 4 to 6 repetition range. And then maybe, especially if it's at the beginning of the workout and my core body temperature isn't elevated yet, I'll do a third warm-up. But that third warm-up, which of course is going to be progressively a little bit heavier than the first or second warm-up, is still going to fall within the low repetition range. So just 2 to 4 repetitions.